Joining us now, political commentator Chris Cillizza, host of So What with Chris Cillizza on YouTube. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Chris, let's jump right into this. You watched or you listened to the live stream just like the rest of us. There was some mention about technical issues, but when things actually got started, were there any big takeaways for you?
I mean, the only sort of news out of it was the fact that he's going back to Butler, Pennsylvania in October, where the attempted assassination happened. So, if there's a news peg, that's it. The rest of it, honestly, look, Nick, I spent a lot of time going through the transcripts of Donald Trump's speeches and interviews line by line. And there's a lot of similarities that were in that interview last night, right? Trump just kind of finds his hobby horses, whether it's immigration, whether it's the economy, whether it's sort of, recounting the assassination attempt. There's a lot in there that if you've ever heard a Donald Trump stump speech was pretty familiar to you.
Chris, let's talk a little bit after this soundbite, because former President Trump went after Vice President Harris during that interview.
Mm-hmm. This third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different. Yeah. Look, she hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started.
Third-rate incompetent. Chris, is the former president struggling to find the right message on Vice President Harris? And why is he still talking about Mr. Biden and that debate debacle?
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned that, Nick, because that's one of the things that really stood out to me. That's one of a number of times in which he brought up Joe Biden during this conversation. And again, he's not running against Joe Biden anymore. You can debate whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for Donald Trump, but he clearly misses that. As for Harris, yeah, I think that's evidence of the fact that they have struggled to find a message that they really works for them. There are two basic lines. One is she's a faker, that she'll be anything to anyone. She'll say anything to whatever she thinks the audience wants. The other one is she's this sort of dangerous San Francisco liberal. He hasn't really settled on one, and I think the reason for that is because they haven't found a message that really does some damage against Harris. I think Trump is continuing to struggle with the fact that they changed candidates. He was running against one candidate who I think he thought he had a pretty good chance of beating, and he did, and who he had a message against. Joe Biden is too old, he's not competent, he's not doing a good job. And now they have a whole different candidate with a different set of issues. And look, it's not easy to change horses in midstream, change opponents 3/4 of the way through the race. I think any candidate would struggle with that kind of change, but it's clear that Trump is struggling with it.
And the man.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.